My name is David Perrin, and currently working as the A&R program leader in the Eastern region. And today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about leadership in the Eastern region, what the future holds. But first, let me say thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here with you today. It is among family and friends, and I thank you for being part of the process. I'd like to start off and just summarize a little bit of the strengths that I think I can bring to this position. You heard Janie talk about some of the experiences. We'll cover those just a bit more in detail through the presentation. But I've got strong relationships and very team-oriented, organized, results-driven, decisive where I can make decisions. But I come to you with integrity and trust, a strong ethics and values. I'm very big on priority setting, perseverance, and I'm action-oriented. Yes, there are some weaknesses too. Multitasking is one of them. My coworkers know that. I don't do two things well at all. And the best gauge of that, if I'm at the house and I've got the computer out, I've got my phone out, I'm talking to my wife, it gets quiet, I look over and I've got that look in the question. What did I just say? I know I messed up every dang time. I can switch from item to item quickly, but I can't do two at one time, so recognize. The other thing is, I'm a visual learner. When I hear your words and all, I've got to transform that into some kind of picture in my mind so I can capture it and I can see it. So you'll see me writing down a lot of notes. You'll hear me asking, let me see what you're talking about so I can get that. But that's been me from the word go. So I know that those are weaknesses, but if I concentrate and work on those, I can change those to strengths also, where I can get the job done. Let's go back and review a little bit of work history and talk about some of the things. Coming to Extension in 1984, first off was an Extension agent stationed in Ray County doing the resource management program. Then was promoted to the area farm management specialist. I was headquartered in Athens and did that for 15 years. And then started out as a program leader in the Smoky Mountain District, began with in 2001. And then have been part of the Eastern region since its inception in 2004. In fact, Dr. Patsy Esel and I were the co-chairs of the transition team back in 2004. We wrote all the protocols on how we were going to transition from a district to a region. I have done regional director duties, be it in a fill-in role in Connie's absence. First one was in 2005, and lastly was in 2015. In fact, Dr. Cross had Linda Bow and I both to do that in a co-jointed way, and we had to take care of hiring, our budgets, our personnel issues. Each day we ended up 30 minutes to an hour to make sure we communicated with one another to know what had occurred that specific day. And yes, I have done county director duty in acting role in Roane County there more recently, in Hamilton County. In fact, in Hamilton County I went before the board, the commission. This is a report that I gave them, and the county mayor said that's the best report that they have received up to this point. It's got all the bars and charts in there as far as what our was to get our budgets approved. So I've been in about all the kinds of positions that we could do, and except the one we're working on today. Now, I've got some industry experience. Let's talk about that a bit. That was the first professional job after graduation as a trainee. Here is the training manual I finished up with whenever I got done. And I went back to the corporate office. And one thing's talking about details. Well, I'm detail oriented. I can also draft. This goes back to 1981. Every plant system in that feed mill, and most of them I still remember today if they'd left it alone, and it's the same. Plant manager framed that, and that was discussed about every day. But they promoted me then on to second shift supervisor, first shift, and I was transferred on to another company or another business there in the state. In my title there, took care of all the scheduling of the production facility. I supervised 25 union employees. Had this big contract I had to figure out how to deal with, plus 2 line supervisors. We were able to increase our efficiency and lower our manpower. And we were running 250, 400 tons a day of feeds, about $30 million of sales. So you might wonder, why did I leave industry and start working for Extension? Well, as Paul Harvey would say, that's the rest of the story. We'll catch that later. All right, so let's talk about something that is a foundation for me that will help me in this job. It's helped me in what I've done the last 15 years. During the managed program, worked with farm families, key here. Over 1,100 confidential plants. That's where I was visiting, in their house, on their farm, assessing and evaluating their management skills. What did we think that they could attain? I had to work with record keeping. I had to work with budgets. I looked at their profit and loss statement. I looked at their net worth balance to try to determine were they capable of making those moves to really meet their goals that they want to get out of their business. All right, education, yes, we've heard that. BS and MS from the University of Tennessee in agricultural mechanization. A lot of MBA and business management courses. Professional development, though, is something I'm big on. I've got a certificate from facilitation, one for the Center for Creative Leadership, and then I'm a Lead 21 graduate of that leadership program. And then a chart that'll pop up here. There's two things I'd like to point out. One is I really support our professional association and national meetings. Been to 18 of those. And then the very last thing is a supervisory management. It was a 40-hour course. Just so happened, and I still have that workbook. This is 1982. Things that we've learned in this are still practical, and I use it today. I've had international experience. This dean sitting over here got me to go to Kosovo to work with them on a contract with USAID doing a needs assessment in the country where they were looking to establish a nationalized extension service. And then the Taj Mahal, been to India twice, and that was with a mission trip with our church. I'm going to touch about what that means to me just a bit later. Prepare yourself here. Time is rolling back. I'm really big on relationships. You've got to invest time in this. So this goes back to 1995 or 96. Dairy Systems. These men have been my co-workers. They've been my mentors, my coaches. Now the real guess is, can everybody identify everybody? We got Professor Emeritus Dr. Clark Darling, Managed Program Coordinator. There's a dean holding the biggest fish on the page right there. Dr. George Grandel, retired Biosystems Engineering Department head. Oh, there's a chancellor there. He looks like he just out of high school now. Yeah, my hair is a little bit different, and I don't know if I took the got milk cap off, is there more up there? And then there's another one starting to sneak in behind. I know I let Jerry Lamb look at this as prelude to sit this all right. That is our current A&R state program leader, Dr. Mike Bushamole, stuck in there inside. Those relationships have been great. The thing about a good, strong relationship that you can build with folks in your county, when the phone rings and you hear that voice and you know it and they know you, it makes things a whole lot easier. All right, big on teams. Another time in history. Here is our organizational get-together meeting to start with in 1993 on our Dairy Systems project with Kentucky. Another team we just finished up with. A hard-working team. All of our agencies that were in Moultrie, Georgia, conducting the Tennessee Spotlight State exhibit. Here's something that is really neat that Linda Bauer and I worked on. We were the co-principal investigators on a project that brought A&R, FCS, and 4-H together. And I think you might recognize some of those individuals. At the culmination of that grant project, we were on a stimulus grant. We took the group out to Golden, Colorado, and went to the National Renewable Energy Lab, the National Earthquake Center. And yes, got a little teamwork in that activity. At the end of the day, we took off up into the mountains, and that's a picture there at Loveland Pass in the Rockies. Strong on the organization. You saw that little chaotic chart that we come up with. The agents know each year we set the dates for the upcoming year for what we're going to work on. We get requests from them, and then we create something that's nice, organized, legible to see. That's the agent roster for our assignments for the upcoming year. Results are something we want to work on too. Here is an idea that was agent-driven. Camille Jesse, now retired in Carter County, came to me at the Appalachian Fair, 2009. This is dated. You've got to see this. We were at the dairy show last night. Gentleman came in, he had this little scanner. Scan those cards. 10 minutes after the event, we had the results. Well, it turns out that we did enter a contract, and I was the pilot tester and the guinea pig. We customized that software, and now we use it all across the state for our electronic scoring 4-H event. Saved thousands of dollars of travel, thousands of hours of manpower going to it, and we've increased our accuracy. Talk about results. That That's what we look for at the end. That's our contest results. We're off to the awards with it. Funding is important to our programming through working with grants, working with specialists and department heads, both at UT Extension and TSU, through our SARA funds and risk management, and some just private donors. Brought in over $335,000 in the region to support our A&R and 4-H youth development programs. Here's an item. This is user fees. User fee program. Here's something that we saw on our 2017 nursery tour. These nice little robots, they use technology that we have. What's great about this particular opportunity, we take green industry professionals, we take our agents, we bring them together for professional development. We introduce them to new technologies, new management, and new marketing. The agents don't have to take $1 out of their travel, out of their county allocation to do it, and then we establish then a network and a good building relationship with those individuals. We partner up with East Tennessee Nursery Association. Ken Hobbs right in there as the president of that. I'm also active in my community, specifically with the First Baptist Church. I feel like the Lord has given me some gifts and talents to work with money and budgets. The church recognized that, and they invited me to be the treasurer. That was like a little over 20 years ago. They've trusted me with this job ever since, and every time I say I would like to do something else, no, you keep doing that. Nobody likes getting in front of the group and tell them what a financial report is. Get that in Baptist Church and give them a financial report. Well, the thing is I'm proud of, that church over the last 20 years, we've done over $1.4 million in capital projects. Well, I administered every one of those dollars, and that church is debt-free. We owe no money. I've served on a couple of committees. There's others that I didn't put. Those were the two. But probably the hardest thing that I've done, it was a little over a decade ago. We had an associate pastor at the time. Work performance not too good, some problems. We had to let that individual go. I was a personnel committee member to stand in front of the church and explain why and how and field the questions. And apparently I did it satisfactorily because they kept me on the committee to that. That's probably the hardest thing. Family is important to me. I introduce you to my wife, Martha, there on your left. This December 23rd, 38th wedding anniversary. She's sort of special. There's a daughter, Sarah. We were able to adopt her in 1989. And then, yes, we have an angel in heaven. Danielle was born in 1984. She lived about 12 hours. And Martha almost lost her life in that process. 6 to 8 weeks in the hospital during that year. So, back to that rest of the story. It was that life event. There we were in the Midwest, and we were family-oriented, a long way from home. And we sort of inventoried and said, we really need to get to Tennessee. So, thus, that's how I became an UT Extension and started my career with that. Give you a little bit of background on me personal. Granger County home. Yeah, that is me. 5th grade, school picture. 4-H, bread baking. Linda and Mitch know I can do that. Dr. Burns knows I can do that. He says biscuits are as good. I'm not saying who is good at. All right, yes, this is my Tennessee 4-H Congress sweater, 1974 edition. When I got that out of the cedar chest, it still fits. All right, we learned a lot about this. Let's change our tune. Let's talk about some future. David Perrin is the Eastern Region Director. Well, I feel like I can bring some positive relationships, some strong and cohesive teams, and I think we could work together and we can really flood the region with impactful programs. That's what our job is. But before that happens, it all starts behind the scenes. Here's some photographs of some important people in our life. Our administrative assistant team, Ms. Cindy Teets, which has joined the team here in recent years. They're the backbone and the basis for us being successful. They don't get to be out there and deliver those programs. Their names are not on those brochures. But your job is important, maybe more important than ours. And I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to each of you, because you don't always get thanked for what you do. Talking about programs, I'm going to support them all equally. Family Consumer Sciences, Agricultural Natural Resources, Community Economic Development, 4-H youth development. We want to maintain a good, strong county program based on local needs assessment. Here I want to compliment Miss Connie High School, our former region director. She was a great visionary, offered us many opportunities. Here's a day where really teamwork was the result of it, but it was a day we had a tailgating at the ER, dressed in orange and relaxed, a good way to get to know one another, and I'm positive food was somewhere in that. Look how happy Mitch is. All right, Tennessee State University. They play a major role in our programming efforts. When I started as program leader, we had one TSU paid employee. Today, there's over 20. That has really expanded greatly, exponentially, our programming efforts, particularly backfilling when we had to take the last staffing plan. I don't know if many of you got to see their nice new educational trailer. They call it the rolling pouch. You can't see that there, but that's where they'll be doing outreach out into the communities and the counties. They had that with them at our Sunbelt Expo, and I want to say thank you, Tom, for making that available and having that there. Notice this one young lady here, that was at the showcase exhibit, which I've been part of the last 4 showcases, Small Farm Expo, over and supporting our agents at that event. Speaking of other partners, here's just some logos of a number of them that are important to us. By all means, that's not inclusive, but I think we want to continue identifying those and working to strengthen those as we might. So going back to the international experiences, diversity is what that's taught me. Here's a little video clip running there where we were helping families, because we were located right at the base of the Himalaya Mountains in northern India, treating those water buffalo. You can see from the living conditions that they have quite daily sustenance. But you know what? They came and they received us with open and welcome arms. We were caring. We were sincere. Look how happy those youngsters are at recess out of school. Changed to a different country, Kosovo, doing that needs assessment, travel the country. We went to a dairy show. There that gentleman's posing with his prize-winning nest. That's his dairy animal. They don't milk Holsteins there. Milking Simmentals with his award. The thing I can take from that is I was the outsider in, but they have a different culture. And I think we can transfer that into our programs, our clients, because we've got minorities, we've got underrepresented audiences, and I think if we can understand their culture, where they're coming from, and seeing their perspective, that's going to open the doors for them to want to be part of our programs, to help us with those programs. That also transfers as we work and look at recruiting a diverse workforce. If we'll take the time, and yes, I think we've got to go that little bit of extra time and effort to get to meet them and work with them, but that should be representative of what we do. We should have workforces equal to that. And those international experiences put me into the middle of that to be able to understand more fully. Something else that's big for us, volunteers. We need to seek them. And I think that we've got 3 different groups that we can use as models of how to do that. Our Horse Advisory Committee, our Master Gardener Program, and our 10-Step Coalition. Marketing extension is something that's ever important to get our name out in front of the audiences. The Marketing Initiative has done a great job on giving us a toolkit. In doing so, I think we can mix some old and some new. Day one on the job, 1984, Ray County, Tennessee, right there. Yeah, that is me on. Right here is something where we publicize our Dairy Life program. Co-authors, Tim Cross and I, back to that relationship, we carried on through our work efforts. National winning poster, 2000 National County Agents Meeting. And then here we see some of the icons for social media where we have new technology. I think we can take a mixture of old styles and new opportunities to go out to market extension and market our programs. And it's a lot based on what the resources are that you have in your county. So another thing that a regional director is going to need to do, manage budgets. Resources are needed. Thing that Jerry Lamb had started to hear just that is our innovative grants, and I want to continue that. Eastern Region Director is going to need to coach county directors as they work on their budgets. I'd like to be inclusive in the budget process and bring in our regional staff, bring in chairs from our multi-county teams, our major 4-H events, and help set those budgets based on needs. And once they're set and ready to go into place, delegate the authority and the responsibility to them to go make it happen. And then an item popped up, I know, for every one of our region and state 4-H events, almost all the time. That travel cost is borne out of their county travel allocation. Something that I would like to see is working with, I got region and state administration. Is there another way to do that and explore those options? Evaluating performance is something that's going to be required. We're just getting ready to start here at the first year. Our new performance evaluation rating system. We've not done it yet. We want to make that a positive experience. Evaluation performance needs to be done throughout the year. The positives, the negatives. It never needs to be a you gotcha at all. It needs to be something that you work on all the time. We need to recognize staff for good work. I think thank you is still appropriate and important today. The other thing is, we talk about marketing. It would be really nice. When I worked for Austin Printing Company, we had this big safe full of items that had the checkerboards on it. Well, it'd be really nice if we had a supply of things where those, when somebody did something good, say, you know, you really did good, thank you. Whether it's as small as a pencil or a cup or a shirt or a cap, makes that feel good. And then, you know, occasionally, and I say occasionally, a lot of times, somebody does above and beyond. But what would be really neat, I don't know how we do it, Tim Fogger, but it'd be really nice if we could hand them a gift certificate or something. Don't take your family out to dinner and enjoy it. Don't extension today. Tennessee 4-H centers are big for us. We've got a job to keep them full. Instead of working on the negative side, I'd sure like to see if we couldn't implement some type of positive program, incentive, when you meet or exceed those quotas to reward you for that effort. I've heard the Extension Advisory Council members talk about that. I've heard some of you in this room talk about that. All right, let's change gear a little bit. Talk about flexibility. No secret, fish has been in this once, coming in again. That's how I relieve my stress and relax. That's what I enjoy. I've done it since I was a kid. What you're going to see is some specimens that came through there I thought was worthy of the camera. You know, this little flathead catfish that day, that was not what I went to catch. And I was happy too because it's the only fish I caught. But why is this pertinent to what I'm talking about? Well, there's a slogan, right? There's a saying. You're going fishing, but do you really go catching? Catching is not always what you get to do. So to make sure that happens, you got to change tactics, specimens. You got to change a bunch of stuff sometimes to be successful. Well, I think that could relate to our programming too. We get in a rut on doing the one thing, the same place, the same time, the same folks, we call in. Let's be a little more flexible in how we deliver that. Just think about it. Are you wanting them just to participate, or are you really wanting them to catch the message that you're trying to deliver? All right, I'm big on work-life balance. There's a picture of my mom and dad and my family there at one Christmas. Picture of Martha and I there at Mount Mitchell. Oh yeah, I like to get away and take a little relaxation. Ken Goddard and I took a little trip out to West Yellowstone to go snowmobiling. Key thing is, you've got to grasp and manage your time. We can work 7 days, back up, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks out of the year. So you've got to take control of that schedule, take that calendar, mark some time out for you. I believe in that. It will make you a more productive employee to get out and relax, and your family should be more important to you than your extension family. So make it happen. All right, so why would I supervise on a day-to-day basis? We'll be transparent, open, I'll listen, I'll seek input. You saw I won't in the details, that's just me. I'll provide answers if you ask, I'll follow up, and yeah, I can decide on things. I'll be proactive. I hate this waiting to the last minute. I want to get it done. And I'll be up front. Some of you in here know it's good or bad. I'll say something about it. But I try to do it respectful, and if I say I'll do it, I'll do it. I'm fair and obviously confidential. I can, otherwise the church wouldn't let me be that treasurer for all these times. The bottom line is, I try to be a servant leader where I put your needs and the needs of the community to make you all better. So what are some things I might do, sort of like the president's first 100 days, let's try the first 6 months. Well, one, I'd like to send thank you notes to all the folks in the region for one, believing in me. And just reiterate, I'd like to have an open door policy. If you want to visit, if you want to call, I'll take it. I'd like to visit each county and do a little short listening session. What's your thoughts, what's your ideas, what's your needs, and yeah, I'll even listen to the wants. I want to analyze those region budgets and endowments. Involve our staff and look and see what options, what levels can we support programs at. And then yes, I'm big on our professional association, so I definitely would join the SDS so I can be a member of all of our associations. right, so what would I expect from you? Do your best. Be truthful. Be dependable. Manage your resources, and that includes time. I think the time is the hardest one we have to control. I want you to respect your co-workers and other staff. You don't always have to agree, but you need to respect, come up with a strategy on how you're going to work together to be successful. And then most of all, if you're going to be an extension, you need to believe in what you do. So, why do I want this? Sounds like a lot of work. Well, I think I can make a difference. Wouldn't be here if I didn't. And I feel like experience, strength, some of the skill sets I bring, they align well with that job responsibilities. I read that sort of line by line to see that. I've got some strong relationships. And I believe in extension of the mission that we have. I believe in you, and I enjoy seeing those succeed. So I'd like to leave you with this thought. Leadership is practiced not so much in words as an attitude and an action. Well, I do bring a positive attitude, and I'd like to take some action to make the Eastern region the best it can be. So thank you very much for today.
My question, I asked these other two folks, and it's kind of what your presentation was about, but basically, what changes would you like to see in agriculture, 4-H, and FCS in our region?
Okay, so what changes would I like to see in 4-H, A&R, and FCS? Well, I think one, our clients need us as much today as they ever have. So I think that what we find ourselves in with challenges, that there's more needs than what we can deliver in a given time that we have. So I think to determine what that best change is, I really think we've got to go back to the table, and we need to do some needs assessment. And we need to look at where I think some opportunities, I think back to when we had the emergency preparedness and we had A&R, 4-H, and FCS, I think there's some opportunities that we can do programming together. We sometimes get caught in our own worlds, and many of the things that we do could overlap greatly. And I think we'd have the fact that we're all about making families succeed. I think by putting those together in certain areas, we can't do it in all spots, but that's the one thing that I'd like to see us do as a change, is do some programming together, and that's probably not our normal nature to want to do so.
Anyone else? I saw some more hands.
Hi, it was a great presentation.
Thank you.
What would you define as specific attributes of a successful county 4-H program?
What I define as successful attributes of a successful 4-H program, well, number one, you've got to start with participation. You've got to have participation, and you want those youth. You're probably targeting a specific, if we're talking about a full county 4-H program, we want to have youth of all of our ages. I would expect that there's going to be an in-school program. There should be an out-of-school program. There should be after school and project groups. We need to have volunteers in those. We should have active parents. I think then that we would be marketing those to let the community know what you're doing. That newspaper in most rural counties is where a lot of people get to see what's happening with that program. But those youth then, you got to look at what are they doing? Are they just sitting in the class, whether it's hands-on or whether it's hearing a lecture? We want them to be actively participating, judging events, Congress, roundup portfolios. What we're doing is we're building them to be successful adults and be successful in this. So that's an all-inclusive thing to have that successful program. You've got to have all the parts. You don't have to have a team in every judging event. You don't have to have every livestock show represented by those young. But you've got to have them doing hands-on activities where they're doing something and they're learning and they're gaining those skills. Public speaking, I think, is the one that we all should try to strive to have. Because it's hard to stand here in front of your friends and your peers and try to maintain calmness and answer questions like this. And if you can get 4-H'ers Even if they'll get up and say, hi, my name is so-and-so, and sit down, that's much better than what they did the minute before.
Anyone else?
David, you've been in the regional office before now. At this point, what do you feel like some changes would be that would better our region?
Well, one thing to do is, we talk about all the changes we want, and I mentioned that flexibility. We don't want to break something that's working well also. So there's many things that we're going to want to continue. And I don't think that, just as the region director, before you go and make a lot of changes, I think we'd like to have inclusivity and bring people together to see what ideas are. And that's why I talked about, I'd like to visit to each county and hear what your thoughts are before I make any significant changes. Now, I don't know if there's changes that we would need to make. Obviously, I've been here, and if I had felt like there was some strong need to change, we would probably try to implement it, because Connie was very good at visionary and making the region work. I think program support is something that we can do. We might have means that we didn't understand that we have, and that's where I see being able to support. It would be very nice if I could come to you, Lynn, and say, here is, if you have a need for this to conduct your program, is to be able to give you some resources, be it financial or whatever. So that's something I would try to determine in that first 6 months. Are there things that we would need to do versus just pull out the pistol and say, let's go, boom, do this and do that. That would not be my style.
Thank you, David, for your presentation. Can you touch on how you would deal with conflict, if there happens to be conflict between agents or personnel in offices or regional wide?
You don't think there's anywhere, do you? Well, I tell you what, multiple ways to deal with it. Avoidance one way, just nail it head on right off the bat. So what you got to do is assess who the players are. Do you know them? Do you know what they're about? Find out. I think it's being a detective, one, to figure out what's the cause of the problem. Is somebody mad? Are they hurt? If there's something going on with them at home that has nothing to do with work, they're carrying over their frustration there. So you got to be the detective to find that out, and then once you get that out, you've sort of got to talk it out and listen. Keep mouth shut, ears open, and listen to that focus. Generally, if there's something that's really bothering them that's causing that much disruption, if you'll be quiet and make them feel uncomfortable, they'll start talking. And then, if you can get the real crux of what the issue is, then you might solve it. Some of them are very simple, and some are very complex. But I want to go back and point out that I'm going to try to be respectful, and I'm going to be confidential in that. And sometimes you can do that very well. So I'm not going to avoid it, but I'm not going to attack it and just be right in someone's face. So somewhere in that collaborative or communicative method is what I was trying to work those out. Sometimes it takes a little longer, but if it's worth solving, you need to go get it done.